Have you ever shared an intimate moment with a man, then suddenly something he did made your heart pause? That 1 second told you everything you needed to know. It wasn't the words. It wasn't even the act. It was that one moment in bed, and it revealed the truth. There's a moment when a man drops the mask. It's quiet, small, easily missed, but it speaks louder than anything he'll ever say. If you know how to recognize it, it'll save you from heartbreak, wasted years, and false promises. Today, we're breaking down that moment and what it tells you about who he really is. The moment right after intimacy is one of the most revealing experiences in a relationship. It's raw, it's unfiltered. It's where masks fall off and true nature surfaces. What a man does in those first few minutes tells you everything about his emotional depth, his values, and his intentions. Most women are conditioned to focus on how he behaves during intimacy. Does he please you? Does he seem passionate? Does he make you feel desired? But the real insight, it comes after. It's in the quiet, the stillness, the aftermath. A man's instincts, character, and emotional maturity are fully exposed when the physical act is over and there's nothing left but presence or absence. You see, a man who truly respects you, a man who sees you as more than just a momentary pleasure, stays connected after the climax. He reaches for you, he holds you. He may not say much, but his actions scream volumes. He'll run his fingers through your hair. They'll kiss your forehead. He'll ask how you feel or simply breathe with you, still wrapped in closeness. That's a man who understands the weight of intimacy. He knows that sharing your body is not a transaction. It's a trust, and trust to him is sacred. He won't rush out of bed. He won't turn over and fall asleep like nothing happened. And he won't grab his phone to check his messages, because that moment isn't something he's trying to escape. It's something he values deeply. But if you've ever been with a man who pulls away instantly, who turns his back, who suddenly becomes quiet or cold, that tells you everything you need to know. That's not a random behavior. That's not just a man being a man. That's emotional immaturity. That's detachment. That's a man who doesn't have the capacity or maybe even the desire to connect with you beyond the physical. When a man disengages right after sex, what he's really showing is that the act was about him, his needs, his release, his agenda. And now that he's gotten what he came for, he's retreating, he's empty, and he's exposing a truth that many women overlook. If a man makes you feel alone in the most intimate space, he will absolutely make you feel alone in life. This moment is not about romance. It's about reality. It's about understanding that intimacy is not just an act. It's a mirror. It reflects who he is when no one's watching, when he's not trying to impress you when the performance is over. And it's in this vulnerable space that the deepest truth of his character shows itself. A man who respects women, who values connection, who has emotional intelligence. He understands that sex is never just sex. It's energy, it's bonding, it's shared vulnerability. And when a woman opens herself physically, he meets her there emotionally. That's what makes him a man of strength. You deserve to be seen, not just desired, you deserve to be embraced, not abandoned. And if a man cannot give you his attention in the softest, most intimate moment, if he can't sit in the quiet with you, if he can't hold space for you when your guard is down, then he's not someone who will protect your heart in the storm. Because life is not always passionate and exciting. Life is filled with moments of silence, challenge, and raw emotion. And if he cannot be present with you in the quiet, he will not stand by you when things get hard. That moment, sir, intimacy is not insignificant. It is sacred. It's a window into the soul. And for too long, women have ignored it. They've made excuses. He's just tired. He's stressed, but no. What he chooses in that moment is what he would choose in every part of the relationship if you look closely enough. That's who he really is. Unmasked, unfiltered, and unedited. That's the man you're building a future with. That's the man you're trusting your soul with. So don't ignore the signs. Don't silence your instincts. That brief moment after the passion, it's where truth lives. And you owe it to yourself to see that truth clearly. Because a man who cannot connect with your heart will never protect it. And a man who disappears in the softness will vanish in the struggle. Watch how he acts after the fire, because that's the temperature of his love. That's the depth of his commitment. That's the weight of his character. You don't need a man who's perfect. You need a man who's present. You don't need a man who says all the right things. You need one who shows up when the words are gone. That one moment in bed might seem small, but it's a compass. It will guide you if you let it. So trust it. Trust what you see. Trust what you feel. That one moment can save you years of confusion. It can protect you from heartbreak. It can reveal a man's soul before he ever breaks yours. The distinction between a man seeking genuine connection versus merely seeking release is subtle. Yet it is one of the most significant markers of emotional maturity and relational potential. In moments of intimacy, there is an opportunity for a deeper bond, one that transcends the physical. Yet too many men, whether out of insecurity, self-absorption, or simply a lack of emotional awareness, fail to understand the difference. A man who seeks true connection doesn't just desire the physical act. He desires the emotional and psychological closeness that intimacy can create. He seeks to know you deeply, to understand you on levels beyond the surface. He values your presence, your heart, your soul. On the other hand, a man who seeks only release is focused on satisfying his own needs without regard for the person he is sharing that moment with. It's an act of selfishness, no shared vulnerability. The difference is clear in his approach. A man who seeks connection is attentive. He's in tune with your body language, your needs, your responses, and your emotional state. He doesn't just rush through the physical act for the sake of release. He listens, observes. He takes his time because he understands that intimacy is a dance, one that requires mutual engagement, patience, and a deep respect for each other's experience. This man is not in a hurry. He is there not just for his own pleasure, but for yours as well. He notices how your breath changes, how your body reacts, how your eyes speak. He pays attention to these subtleties because he recognizes that intimacy is as much about emotional connection as it is about physical satisfaction. For him, the act is not a checklist of bodily functions to be completed. It's an opportunity to forge a deeper, more meaningful bond with you. On the contrary, a man who seeks only release is singular in his focus. His attention is narrowed, fixated on his own satisfaction. In this case, the act of intimacy becomes transaction. He performs, and in return, he expects. He may not be entirely indifferent to your feelings, but his attention is more about achieving his goal, getting what he wants, rather than fostering a shared experience. His focus is often on his own pleasure, on the rhythm and pace that gets him closer to his climax, without any genuine interest in connecting with you in a way that makes the experience meaningful. This isn't to say that he doesn't enjoy your body or that he doesn't care about you at all. But his emotional involvement is limited. It's about his needs, not a shared journey. He may be physically present, but emotionally, he's checked out, detached, and indifferent to the profound emotional energy that intimacy has the potential to create. A man who seeks connection sees you as a whole person, not just as an object of his desire. He sees your mind, your heart, and your soul, and he wants to know them just as much as he desires your body. When intimacy occurs, it's not about a moment of release for him. It's about an opportunity to deepen the bond between you. He seeks a connection that goes beyond the physical. He wants to see you. He wants to experience you. He recognizes that a deep emotional connection is what sustains a healthy relationship. And he understands that sex is just one part of the equation. The real intimacy lies in the moments of togetherness that come after, the slow moments where your hearts can sync, where your souls can speak to each other without the need for words. He understands that true connection comes from being attuned to each other's needs and desires, and he's willing to put in the effort to make sure you both experience that on a deeper level. Contrast this with the man who seeks only release. His emotional world remains closed off. He's not concerned with how you feel emotionally or whether the experience leaves you feeling loved, valued, or respected. For him, sex is something to be consumed, not something to be shared. His focus is on himself, his body, his pleasure, his release. While his physical attentions may be proficient, they are often mechanical. He doesn't pause to check in with you, to ask how you're feeling, or to read the signs of your emotional state. He doesn't notice when you're feeling vulnerable or when you need tenderness. He may be a skilled lover in a technical sense, but emotionally he's distant. He treats the act of intimacy as a release valve, an escape, momentary fix to his own internal needs, without regard for the woman beside him. Why does this matter? Because intimacy, at its core, is an opportunity for both individuals to connect on a level that goes far beyond the physical. It's a chance to merge emotionally, to share space with someone in a way that deepens trust and strengthens bonds. A man who seeks connection will invest in that experience. He will take the time to explore what makes you feel safe, what makes you feel loved, what makes you feel valued. He won't rush the process. He'll engage with you emotionally, psychologically, and physically. Gasp, and the experience won't end when the physical act is over. It will continue in the afterglow, in the quiet moments where you both reflect on what just transpired and what it means. He's committed to deepening your relationship, not just completing a physical act. A man who seeks only release, on the other hand, will leave you feeling empty. The connection isn't there. The emotional bond is absent. You may have had sex, but you haven't shared intimacy. This is the man who disappears emotionally once he's satisfied. The affection evaporates, the sweetness fades, and you're left questioning what just happened. Did he care? Did he see you? Or were you just an instrument for his pleasure? He may never ask if you're okay. He may never check in emotionally. And when you realize that, you start to question whether he really cares about you as a whole person. Intimacy should be a mutual exchange, a moment of shared vulnerability. But when it's about release, you're left feeling disconnected, questioning whether he truly sees you or only uses you. The truth is, the man who seeks connection is a man who understands that intimacy is an expression of love, care, and respect. He sees it as a way to create something deeper with you, something that binds your hearts and strengthens the foundation of your relationship. And in the long run, it is this kind of connection fueled by emotional intimacy that forms the bedrock of a lasting, fulfilling relationship. The man who seeks release may provide temporary satisfaction, but he cannot provide the emotional depth and closeness that true intimacy brings. So when you share intimacy with a man, pay attention to what's going on beneath the surface. Is he just seeking to satisfy himself, or is he trying to connect with you in a deeper way? The way he engages, the way he treats you, and the way he reacts in the aftermath will tell you everything you need to know about what he truly wants. If he seeks connection, he will invest in you in the moment and in the future of your relationship. If he seeks release, he will only invest in himself. And that will leave you feeling isolated, unimportant, and unfulfilled. The difference between being truly present and merely performing in moments of intimacy is one of the most telling aspects of a man's emotional maturity and his genuine investment in a relationship. Too often, intimacy becomes a performance, a set of actions done with a particular rhythm and goal in mind, designed to fulfill the most basic of physical needs. But true intimacy is not about performing a set of motions. It's about emotional engagement, mutual respect, and shared connection. The key to understanding a man's true intentions lies in the subtle but significant difference between being present with you and merely performing for you. A man who is present in intimate moments isn't just going through the motions. He's tuned in, fully engaged, and emotionally connected. His focus is not on himself, but on you. He's not worried about how he looks, how he's performing, or whether he's fulfilling a specific expectation. Instead, he's attuned to your needs, your responses, your energy. When a man is truly present, his attention is solely on the experience you're sharing. He notices the smallest shifts in your expression, the change in your breathing, the subtle ways your body reacts to his touch. His eyes are open, his mind is cleared, and his body is aligned with yours, not just physically, but emotionally. This level of presence takes emotional intelligence. It requires him to set aside his own thoughts, insecurities, and distractions in order to focus completely on you in the moment. He can't be thinking about the next thing he needs to do, about his work, or about what's happening tomorrow. A man who is truly present is grounded in the here and now. His sole focus is on creating an experience of connection, tenderness, and emotional sharing. He engages with you not as a means to an end, but as an equal partner in the shared intimacy. When he's present, he's actively listening to your unspoken cues. He'll pay attention to how you feel, whether you're comfortable, whether you're at ease, whether your needs are being met. His hands won't just move mechanically. They will explore, they will nurture, they will comfort. His eyes won't wander. They will lock with yours, making you feel seen, understood, and valued. A man who is present takes his time. He doesn't rush toward a goal. He's more concerned with the quality of the connection than with the speed at which he reaches his personal satisfaction. But what about the man who is merely performing? The man who is performing is focused on achieving a specific result, often driven by the need to satisfy his own desires or meet an internal checklist. He may appear physically engaged, but his mind and emotions are elsewhere. The rhythm of his movements may seem proficient, but there is a lack of emotional depth. He's thinking about the act as a task to be completed, not an experience to be shared. His movements may be calculated, designed to please, but they're done with the intention of reaching an end rather than creating a meaningful exchange. When a man is performing, he's often distracted. He's thinking about himself, about his pleasure, about how he looks, or about how well he's doing. He's focused on the mechanics, not the emotional engagement. In these moments, he's not attuned to your needs. He's not listening to your body or responding to your emotional cues. Instead, he's stuck in his head, concerned with meeting an invisible standard or following a script he's created for himself. The intimacy becomes one-sided. He's doing the things that he thinks are expected of him, but he's not truly involved in the experience with you. You may notice that when a man is performing, he doesn't take the time to check in with you. He doesn't pause to ask how you're feeling or whether you're enjoying the experience. His actions may seem mechanical, predictable, even. He might follow a familiar pattern, doing what he's learned works in the past, but without any real curiosity about you as an individual. In these moments, the connection feels shallow, distant, or absent. His performance is more about his need to fulfill a personal goal, whether it's sexual release, validation, or a sense of control, than it is about mutual connection. The emotional exchange is missing and intimacy becomes little more than a physical transaction. The performance also extends beyond the physical act itself. It's in how he responds afterward. When a man is performing, he may quickly disengage, retreating back into himself. He doesn't linger in the moment, and he certainly doesn't check in emotionally. His withdrawal may happen without even a second thought, as though the experience was just a box to be ticked. He may quickly grab his phone, fall asleep, or even distance himself from you, signaling that the act was completed in his mind. In contrast, a man who is truly present will seek out moments of closeness and connection afterward. He'll hold you, comfort you, or ask how you're feeling. He'll share in the afterglow of the experience, basking in the emotional connection rather than rushing away from it. Why does this distinction matter? Because when a man is present, he is building something lasting. He's nurturing the connection. He's showing you that he values you beyond the physical, that your emotional needs matter just as much as your physical ones. True intimacy is about creating a safe space where both partners can explore each other's vulnerabilities, desires, and emotions. A man who is truly present doesn't treat intimacy as a task to be completed, but as an opportunity to deepen the bond between you. He invests in the moment. He understands that intimacy isn't just about the release, it's about the emotional connection that follows, the trust that's built, the love that's cultivated. On the other hand, the man who is merely performing will leave you feeling unsatisfied, even after the act. The physical satisfaction may be there, but the emotional fulfillment is lacking. He doesn't give you the space to feel deeply connected, seen, or loved. He may meet your physical needs, but he will leave you feeling emotionally distant, empty, or unimportant. You'll start to feel that the connection isn't real. He doesn't prioritize you as a person. He only prioritizes his own needs, whether that's for validation, control, or self-pleasure. The intimacy becomes hollow, a fleeting experience that doesn't leave any lasting emotional impact. In the long run, it's the man who is present, who is emotionally attuned, deeply engaged, and fully aware. That is the one who will foster a lasting and meaningful relationship. This is the man who shows up, who listens, who takes his time, and who prioritizes the emotional and physical well-being of his partner. He understands that intimacy is not a performance to be perfected, but an experience to be shared. And in the process, he creates a deeper, stronger connection with you that is based not just on physical attraction, but on mutual respect, love, and trust. So when you're with a man, take note of his presence. Is he there with you fully, or is he performing? The difference will shape the quality of your relationship and ultimately the kind of connection you share. In any intimate relationship, the words spoken or left unspoken carry significant weight. What a man says in moments of vulnerability, tenderness, and connection reveals much about his true feelings and intentions. But equally important is what he doesn't say. The silences, the unsaid words, and the emotional gaps that leave you questioning his level of engagement. Communication in intimacy isn't just about words. It's about the way a man makes you feel through his expressions, his tone, his attentiveness, and his ability to articulate what's in his heart. Understanding both what he says and what he doesn't can offer crucial insights into his emotional maturity, his capacity for love, and his level of respect. What a man says during intimate moments can be a powerful indicator of how much he truly values you. A man who is emotionally engaged will speak words that communicate respect, admiration, and affection. He might whisper sweet affirmations, expressing how much he loves you, how beautiful you are, or how much he enjoys being close to you. These words are more than just pleasantries. They are an acknowledgement of the bond that's being created. They express his deep appreciation for the trust you've placed in him, and they serve to build intimacy. When a man speaks with affection and tenderness, he shows that he's emotionally attuned to you, that he sees you not just as a physical being, but as someone whose emotions and needs matter deeply to him. These verbal expressions create an atmosphere of warmth, comfort, and safety, making the experience more than just a physical exchange. It becomes an emotional communion. But even more revealing than the words he speaks are the words he doesn't say. The absence of certain expressions or the failure to communicate what he's truly feeling can be just as telling. For instance, a man who avoids expressing vulnerability, who doesn't say things that acknowledge your importance or the emotional depth of the moment, might be emotionally unavailable or distant. He may be afraid of expressing his true feelings, either because he feels uncomfortable with vulnerability or because he's not emotionally invested in the relationship. A man who can't articulate his feelings, whether it's about love, care, or even his enjoyment of the intimacy you share, leaves you in the dark. The silence can be deafening, creating an emotional void that signals to you that he's not fully engaged in the moment. You might begin to question whether he truly cares, whether he values you, or whether he's emotionally present at all. Sometimes it's not just the absence of words, but the lack of meaningful words. A man who doesn't say anything thoughtful or considerate, who simply stays silent or utters generic comments, might not be invested in fostering a deep connection with you. His lack of meaningful communication could reflect an emotional detachment or even a lack of respect for the emotional importance of the moment. It may signal that he views intimacy only as a physical act, devoid of emotional significance. His silence speaks volumes. It reveals that he may not see intimacy as an opportunity to connect, but merely as a means to fulfill personal desire. His silence leaves you feeling unimportant, overlooked, or even invisible in the relationship. Another crucial aspect of what a man says and doesn't say is the language he uses. The way he speaks about intimacy, love, and connection reflects his level of emotional maturity and his understanding of the relationship. A man who speaks with respect and clarity communicates that he values the relationship and sees intimacy as an essential part of a shared emotional journey. He uses language that affirms both your physical and emotional presence, making sure that you feel safe and cherished. Words like, I care about you, you matter to me, or I'm grateful for you are powerful affirmations that create a strong emotional foundation. They show that he is not just going through the motions, but is deeply committed to the emotional depth of the relationship. On the other hand, the absence of such words, or worse, the use of dismissive or hurtful language, can create a rift. A man who avoids saying things that affirm your worth, or who speaks in a detached, cold manner, can leave you feeling emotionally neglected. His failure to articulate feelings of care, affection, or appreciation makes you wonder if he values you beyond the physical interaction. It can cause feelings of doubt, insecurity, and emotional confusion. When a man doesn't offer the emotional validation that intimacy deserves, it may feel like you're being used rather than cherished, and this creates a significant emotional disconnect. His silence, in this case, is not simply the absence of words. It's a reflection of his lack of emotional investment, a form of withdrawal that leaves you questioning the sincerity of his actions. Furthermore, a man who struggles to say anything meaningful or who avoids open emotional expression may be displaying signs of insecurity or fear. His inability to communicate effectively during intimacy could stem from a lack of confidence in his own emotions or an inability to be vulnerable. He may not know how to articulate what he's feeling because he's not comfortable with the depth of intimacy. This type of silence can stem from unresolved emotional baggage or from a fear of rejection or being judged. But regardless of the reason, his failure to communicate openly leaves you in a state of uncertainty where you may feel emotionally alone. Even in contrast, a man who is comfortable with emotional expression will say things that communicate trust, vulnerability, and appreciation. He will express his feelings openly, not just in intimate moments, but throughout the relationship. He will tell you that he values you, that he's happy to be with you, and he's invested in the relationship. His words will be a reassurance that you are seen and cherished, both physically and emotionally. These are not just sweet words. They are a reflection of his emotional depth and his willingness to engage in the relationship on a deeper level. In addition, it's not just about the words themselves, but the tone and the context in which they are spoken. A man who speaks with sincerity and warmth during intimate moments communicates more than just affection. He communicates that he is emotionally available, that he is open to sharing and connecting. A man who speaks in a cold, transactional manner, or who says nothing at all, communicates the opposite. He might be physically present, but emotionally absent. His words, or lack of them, tell you that he's either not interested in engaging on a deeper level, or he simply doesn't value the emotional intimacy that comes with sharing a life together. The most telling moments often come in the silence that follows. After intimacy, does he say something that reaffirms your connection, such as a tender, "I love you," or "I'm so glad we're together"? Or does he retreat into silence, avoiding eye contact or conversation, signaling emotional distance? The way he handles the aftermath, the way he communicates afterward, reveals his emotional readiness for intimacy and his long-term intentions. If he leaves the space empty, he leaves you wondering whether he truly cares or whether he was just going through the motions for his own satisfaction. So when you're with a man, pay attention to both what he says and what he doesn't say. Words have power, but silence speaks volumes too. A man who is emotionally present will communicate openly and honestly, not just during the act, but also in the moments before and after. His words will affirm your value, and his silence will never make you feel invisible or unimportant. What he says, and the way he says it, will reflect a deep emotional engagement, a respect for the bond you share, and a commitment to building something lasting. What he doesn't say, on the other hand, will tell you if he's emotionally available or if he's simply going through the motions, leaving you to fill in the emotional gaps he leaves behind. In the end, understanding the dynamics of intimacy and how a man behaves before, during, and after such moments reveals more than any grand gestures or spoken promises ever could. The way a man treats you in these vulnerable, private moments, how he approaches your vulnerability, whether he seeks genuine connection or simply release, and how he leaves the moment, speaks volumes about the depth of his emotional investment in you and the relationship. A man who is truly present, emotionally engaged, and respectful will demonstrate through his actions that intimacy is not just a physical act, but a shared emotional experience. It's not just about what he says, but what he does and how he makes you feel. He will value you for who you are, not just for the physical pleasure you provide. His words will affirm your worth. His actions will show his care, and his post-intimacy presence will reinforce the bond between you. These are the moments that build a lasting connection. On the other hand, if a man's actions, his emotional withdrawal, his silence, or his lack of presence leave you feeling unseen, unheard, or unimportant, it's time to take a step back and reevaluate. True intimacy requires mutual care, respect, and emotional connection. If he's not offering that, it's not just a sign of physical detachment, but emotional distance that will only grow wider over time. Ultimately, these moments are a reflection of the man's emotional maturity, his respect for you, and his long-term intentions. Pay attention to how he treats you in those vulnerable moments because they reveal his true character more than any other interaction. A man who values you will show you through his presence, his words, and his actions that you are worth more than just a fleeting experience. You are worth deep, lasting love, connection, and care. So as you navigate the complexities of relationships, remember that how a man leaves the moment is not just about the end of a physical act. It's about the continuation of the emotional bond, the respect he has for you, and the effort he's willing to put into making you feel loved, valued, and secure. True connection transcends the physical. It's the emotional presence that matters.